Hello everybody, I'm Barry Crabtree. I'm a certified arborist and I welcome you to the director's cut of a presentation that was given at the International Society of Arboriculture's International Meeting in Knoxville, Tennessee this August 2019. It was a great show, and the difference in this version that you're going to see is that we're going to slow it down some. We only had 25 minutes to show you all this material in Knoxville, but we've got an unlimited amount of time here. It'll give you an opportunity that anything you see in this presentation that you want, that you're interested in, if you're interested in any of the Tree Protection Act and any of the particular ANSI standards as they apply to our tree protection, and if you're interested in the protocol itself, then you'll be able to get all the information necessary for you to train your people to do the same thing and duplicate, hopefully, the experiences of success that we have had over the last 30 years. The first 10 years of our business was spent in a general tree service, doing what most of you do, cutting down trees, grinding stumps, pruning, doing all of that kind of stuff. We did right-of-way work, we cleared lots, we did a lot of different things. And we want to be able to, in the next 20 years, from 2000 to the present, we did nothing but tree preservation. My sons came home from college, one graduated from high school at about the same time, and we decided that tree preservation was going to be what we do. So our subject is tree preservation protocol based on the ANSI A300 standards. There are 10 of them, and we are going to exclude 3 of them which don't have much to do with what we do in tree preservation. That is number 3 and 4. That is the supplemental systems, right-of-way management, and lightning protection and integrated right-of-way management. Those 3 sections we don't do a lot of. However, that does not mean they're not important. It just means that we don't refer to them much in our protocol. And at the conclusion of this presentation, you will be able to do 4 things that are going to be very, very helpful to you and your company. Stand out from your competition. Very important that you are able to not only stand out from other companies, but stand out within your company, within your organization. If you happen to be an academic, a municipal representative, a city arborist, or if you're like us and you just put a crew together every day and you go out and you do tree jobs and you save trees, then you want to be able to stand out from your competition. And combining ANSI, a protocol, and our tree protection actions has proven successful, and this is how you're going to do it. You'll create more revenue for your company. You will improve your customers' quality of life by delivering quality ecosystem services. This is our stock in trade. It is our legal tender. It is what we do for our customers. It's the reason they call us, the reason that you're being called if you happen to be a city arborist, that people are scared of a tree falling, or they want more shade in a park, or a customer is concerned about a neighbor's tree. We get calls for all kinds of reasons, and we want to be able to do this in compliance with ANSI, ASC, A300. That's the Accreditation Standards Committee, the 10 parts of ANSI. We're going to use 7 of them, and we want to be able to do this to comply for safe success. Now, the most often asked question in all of our exposure to this industry has been, how do I sell tree preservation? It's real easy to go in and cut down a tree, but there's no better time right now than to use that opportunity to say, okay, the forces at work here that kill this tree could also kill this tree. We want you to be able to draw out, the word educate, the Latin derivative edu means to draw out, and I want you to draw out of what you see us present here a sequence that is applicable in your situation. Now, remember, this is what we do for our company in this area of the country. We're from North Carolina, have certain soil conditions, certain weather conditions, and so forth, and this makes all the difference in the world. Yours will be different, and you will need to adapt, and we're asking you to draw out from what you hear us saying here to make applicable procedures for your company that will save trees and will also make you stand out in your market. So we're going to sell tree preservation using what we refer to as a tripod method. Just like a camera that sits on three legs, that's very steady, that's very easy to be stable. We want you to use 3 parts of a tripod system that consist of ANSI A300 and the Z133 safety standards. That's part 1. The second part would be processes, which is the protocol. We're going to show you the 10-step protocol here in just a minute. And then the technology, which is the tree preservation actions. There's 6 of them that we've developed and use day after day. We've perfected them, and you could use something very similar. And so if you were building a house, ANSI A300 and Z133 would be the foundation and the walls and the roof. And the processes, the protocol, the 10-step protocol that you're going to see, we refer to it as the 5th element protocol, will be the walls, doors, windows, and furnishings. And then the technology, the tree preservation actions would be the wiring and the connections to the outside world, your cable, your sewer, your water, and of course the landscape and everything around the house that makes it what it is. And so we're going to combine all 3 of these systems together to make a very, very solid, science-based, high-impact, proven approach to saving trees, solving problems, and creating the quality ecosystem services that people demand from their ecosystem: shade, privacy, noise abatement, soil control, and all those kinds of things, drainage, and many others. And so we have the Z133 safety requirements. If you haven't read them, I would encourage you to do so. It is developed over a long period of time, and you may or may not be in compliance with all of them, but knowing what the difference is, knowing what you need to do to be in compliance is very important. I suggest that you do it. So who and what is ANSI? You'll see from one of the latest standards. This is the pruning standard, part 1, and it was approved in 2017. You can see the list of people here. They're represented from all over the country. They're all over. They're national, they're municipal, they're forestry, they're individuals, they're tree companies, they're a selection of everyone in our industry. And the benefit that you can get from ANSI comes from the very wide representation of everybody's opinion. And as I said, they have 10 parts. We're going to eliminate part 3 and 4, supplemental support systems. Lightning protection systems is number 4, and integrated vegetation management, which is basically a utility a type of thing. But if you go to trim trees out by someone's front yard and they're on a high-powered line, you're going to have to comply with that type of directions. And so I would suggest that you read all of these standards. They all apply whether you use them every day or not. ASC A300 mission statement is simple. Develop consensus standards based on current research and sound practice for writing specifications to manage trees, shrubs, and other woody plants. The vision is simple. Foundation for work specifications, training materials, quality protocols and regulations for management of trees, shrubs, palms, and other woody plants. Notice they put palms in there as we progress through, because more and more we're having to deal with those types of plants. Effective specifications must include measurable criteria and must account for the variable characteristics of landscape, plants, and individual management and the objectives of the owner. The purpose of ANSI A300 is to unify and take authoritative precedence over all existing tree care standards. They have a certain structure that looks just like this, Ghost's purpose application. It has a structure and organization that goes exactly like you see illustrated here, and they end up with a set of practices, objectives, and introduction into the parts. You're going to build your tree protection actions, your technology part of your tripod, around the sequences and the terminology that you see here in ANSI A300 standards, all of them. But we have a problem. And the problem is very simply, many of us have assumed this position that you see here, which is not what we want. There is a tremendous amount of knowledge, a tremendous amount of experience, and it is all science-based, it's all very practical, and it has all been consensus approved, meaning that there are a number of people that have all voted on it. It does not require unanimous approval, but it is a consensus that everybody says, yep, this is the best we can come up with. And so the tools we use are ANSI A300 and Z133. We want you to read them. I've got all 10 of the standards right here in my hand. I don't have them immediately available, but they're easy to read, they're short, and that you should be able to do it. The second process, the second part of the tripod of the tools that you use is the protocol itself. And the protocol is a 10-step sequence. As we developed the protocol almost 20 years ago, we really don't talk about it much except between us as we're developing standards, proposals, bids, and job quotes. It's something that runs silently in the background, just like when you start up your telephone, when you start up your computer. There's a series of actions that it goes through. This protocol is necessary in order for you to get your computer to function, to get your telephone to operate. And it's the same with this sequence as well. You have to follow this sequence in order to touch all the bases and to cover all of the types of differences that you're going to see, whether it's a commercial property, a private residence, or a public facility, whatever it might be. And so a tree preservation protocol is designed to accomplish prediction and prevention. It'll help you to answer the questions: will that tree fall on me? Is it safe? Can you save it? Will it live? Is it going to leaf back out again? Is it going to do any number of things that might be required by ownership? Diagnosis and detection, care and treatment supports a long-term strategy, and this is very important because I'm a former Army Ranger, and the mission that we did, we were asked in an after-action report what was supposed to happen, what did happen, and why are they different. And I would suggest that you go through every job that you do and ask that same sort of sequence. It is a constant negotiation between what you or the customer wants in terms of their objectives and the scope of work, weather and conditions. And so that has to be flexible and adaptable, and above all, repeatable and teachable. Because guess what, guys? If you are the only one, girls and well, I'm sorry, I don't want to leave out anybody here. If you are the only one that understands it, guess who has to do the work when it calls in? You will be the one. So it has to be teachable and repeatable. You do it again and again and again and again, and that's the advantage. And here is a picture of the tools we use. These are my two sons. The most important representative out of everybody that you see there is the dog. That's my biggie boy, and he is the customer representative. People ask about him before they ask about us, tell you the truth. But you can see we have the compressor, the feeder, we have diagnostic tools, we have a little bit of climbing and pruning and clipping types of accessories there. And if you're going to go into someone's designed ecosystem, you have to have some diagnostic tools. Out of the collection that you see displayed here, I can't tell you that there is any one tool that is more important than the other. The penetrometer, the soil sampler, the hammer for sounding, and the DBH tape for measuring the trees. All of those things are extremely important. If you need where to get them and what they do and their function in the diagnostic process, all you have to do is call us, let us know, we'll be glad to do it. Now, we use a 5-contact system to create the appointments that are necessary for us in this business. And it's an interesting sequence that I suggest that you duplicate as closely as is possible. There's an inbound call. It comes from a referral, it comes from social media, it comes from a walk-up, it comes from any number of places. And you have a tremendous ability to do some research on the property before you ever get there. You can pull up the location, because you're going to find out who they are, where they are, and what they want. And when you get the address, you can Google it, get a satellite picture, look at the neighborhood, and already know in advance exactly what everything looks like before you get there. And if the picture is current, sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. You'll just have to check it and see. It gives you some insight. Now, on the inbound call, we make a promise. Now, this promise is very, very important, because we get a consultation fee for every inspection that we make, and this is how we go about doing it. I ask Mr. or Mrs. Prospect, let me describe a sequence to you that we've been using for years that has proven to be successful, and if you agree with it, then we'll be able to come out and look at your tree and evaluate it properly. Number one, we're going to look not only at the problem that you have pointed out to us, but we're also going to look at everything and the forces at work in the problem that you brought to us are very frequently at work in other places in your ecosystem, and we want to be able to point these out. It's kind of like a stress test, properties' potential losses, since the landscaping and all of the stuff out there in your yard, all of the trees, bushes, grass, garden, raised beds, and everything contribute anywhere from 5 to 25% of your property's value, then it's very important that we look at it in its totality to try and preserve its value. And all of this is leading up to a specific time when we can show up. We have agreement that they're going to pay a fee. Our consultation fee will be anywhere from $50 to $150, depending on how far from us they are and we have to travel. And they're going to give us an address, a time, and the decision makers that are going to be required to make this choice will be present at the time.